Yo, it's me, it's the SCOTT baby, and I'm back with my review of the 2008 found footage film, Quarantine, starring Jennifer Carpenter, Columbus Short, Jay Hernandez, and is directed by John Eric Dowdle. This is a movie I wanted to cover because of our current situation, what's going on in the world now, and I'm trying to find it everywhere. And I finally found it on Crackle, because I don't have the DVD or Blu-ray. It's on Crackle. It's a found footage film. I know there's a sequel. I know it's a remake of the Spanish film Wreck. And I know there's a sequel that's not a found footage film. But I'm covering this because, one, I wanted to get back on the found footage film franchises, which I might do some more today. Who knows? Current situation. So I think it fits. But, so the story of this film is that there's a news crew who are doing a story on firemen, and the firemen get called to a building which has something going on, and then they find out that there's a virus in the apartment building that. We'll just get to it. First and foremost, why would a fire department be called in a case like this? The cops, sure, but there's no fire. Even when they get there, they're confused. Like, where do we go? Is it over here? And then there's people going, over here. Something is wrong. And I'm like, why is this a firefighter's job? They're firemen. You know, at the beginning of the film, it has the problems that all found footage films have at the beginning of the films. It's just small talk, basically. Introducing us to our characters, showing us what they're doing, basic small talk, and then once they get to the building, that's when the shit hits the fan. So, the thing in this is that there's a disease. They're not sure what it is, but there's a man who is a veterinarian, and he believes it is basically a case of super rabies. And we get little hints of it when they said that when this mom, played by Marion Hinkle, is there with her daughter, played by Joey King, and, I was wrong. Joey King is good at it. She's very little. She's maybe like 4 or 5 years old here. But yeah, she doesn't have, any lines, really. Not that I can remember, but she's basically has this scene. And they explained that her dog was sick, and that the dog is at the vet because it's sick. And that's the first hint. We also sort of get a hint at how this started when the cameraman, Scott, not me, but the cameraman named Scott, says that a rat lunged at him, and you see it lunge at him, and he stomps on it, and he says that the rat, it went right at me, came right at me, and I think that's the rat that came into contact with the dog, and then the dog spread it around. You know what I mean? So after a few minutes of being there, the cops show up, right? And there's this one cop played by Columbus Short that really pisses me off. And this is why I hate cops in movies, because they always think they're right. The vet tries to tell them what the disease is, that it's rabies. And he tries to tell them it's rabies, it's incurable, and that in order to test people, they have to take a brain sample. And the cop basically tells him to shut the fuck up. As if he doesn't know what he's talking about. But there's a problem with that, because the CDC shows up knowing full well what it is, because they explain that they got a call at a veterinarian clinic about a dog who's spreading rabies around to the other animals through its saliva. And it led them to that building. So, they know what it is. Right? The cop might not know what it is. But they know what it is. And this is also shown the fact that they have when one of the firemen gets infected almost right away, and they have him on a table. They inject him with which I think is a sedative, and then they immediately start to drill through his head. And I'm like, okay, so they definitely know it's rabies. There is something confusing though, as they say that the CDC is coming to do tests on everyone in the building. But the only way they can test for rabies is with brain tissue. And to do that, you have to drill through someone's head. Which means you're going to kill everyone anyway doing the tests. Which is why they start with the people who are already zombified. So, why didn't they just bomb the damn place? I mean, come on. They could have dropped something. They could have had an explosive go off. They could have C4 on the place. Something. They could have a controlled explosion to blow up the house, to blow up the apartment, and end it. The only reason I can come up with is that we wouldn't have a movie otherwise. And there's a stupid decision because the CDC people, they get fucking murdered, attacked by these fucking zombie people. And somehow, the vet gets infected. And they would never show how he gets infected, why he is. There are instances where I was screaming at the TV for fucking dumb decisions. So, this is a found footage film. And I love found footage films because, unlike regular films, it's not just, yes, they have jump scares, but it's not like they're setting up for them. Not really. Where they are, in most found footage films, they're running, right? They're running through a forest and a jump scare happens, or they're running through a building and a jump scare happens. Here, the jump scares are so fucking telegraphed. Why not just make a regular horror film? Because there are instances where the cameraman is just so fucking stupid. Alright? There's a scene where they go up in the elevator and they have to take the elevator up to the third floor, right? So they get up to the third floor and the cameraman, and they don't leave the elevator when it opens. They just stand there. Jennifer Carpenter's next to the buttons going like this. And the cameraman, for some reason, is messing with the fucking light. Going on and off, on and off. I'm like, what are you doing? You're on the floor. Because they need to get to the apartment on the third floor to get the keys. So that they can go down to the basement, which they never do. Nope. They don't at all. And they're going upstairs for some fucking reason. Maybe because they're fucking stupid, but, so the elevator opens. And they don't move. The fireman stays to this side. Jennifer Carpenter's, like I said, up against the lights. And the cameraman is fucking with the light. All just waiting for a jump scare from the Hispanic woman. And then they leave. They go, they get the keys, and they go to the door. I'll call him back. And they go to the door, and the fireman says, we gotta go fast, you gotta stay close. They go out the door, Jennifer Carpenter runs out, the fireman runs out, cameraman stops. And even the fireman's going, what are you doing? Come on, come on. He was waiting for another jump scare. I'm like, why put it in there? We gotta stay close, we gotta go fast, when he just stops, because you gotta wait for a jump scare. And there's another scene. It's not as stupid as these scenes, but there's a scene where they go up to the attic and they're putting their hands around, and you know you're just waiting for another jump scare, especially if you've seen Wreck. Little zombie boy. And of course no one survives because it's a found footage film, and the sequel, being that it takes place at the same time, I don't think you ever get any answers to what happened in this building. I'm sorry. From what I've heard of Wreck, it's better than this. And this is supposed to be a shot-for-shot American remake. And American remakes of foreign films often do that. But this is... I saw both kill counts. And when it looked like to me in, Dead Meat, the kill count for Wreck didn't look this stupid. They were trying to make a film. The director clearly wanted to make a regular horror film, but had to follow. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. The director clearly wanted to make just a regular horror film with jump scares and stuff like that, but had to make it a found footage film because that's what the film they took it from was that this movie's based on was a found footage film. So they had to do a found footage film. But they still added in the horror movie tropes, the cheap ass jump scares, which there is some in found footage horror movies. Paranormal Activity does it all the time. But to me, this one, it seemed so fucking telegraphed. Where in found footage film, you have the cameraman. If there's going to be a jump scare, they drop the camera and they fall. And they've done it a couple times here. But there's not really a jump scare in them. And the jump scares that they do have are very telegraphed, where the cameraman just stops because you have to wait for the jump scare. It's totally stupid. I hate it. I do. It's just, I don't hate this movie. I think it's a decent film. But I hate how it's almost become a trope that people have to make stupid decisions. There's a character in this that tries to go out a window and is shot by the cops. How fucking stupid do you have to be? They're not gonna let you out. And then they say, we have to go down to the basement, but somehow end up in the attic, where they find where all this started, which, yes, they say in the original, in Wreck, it was a woman, but I don't remember there being a rat in the original film. Here, there was, and it seems like the rat was supposed to be the cause of it, and then they added the woman in there. So it's from, was it the woman? Like, it wasn't the original Wreck, or was it the rat? I don't know. To me, I really wanted to see this film, and I've been really disappointed. I'm sorry. I have. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10 because I just think they could have done a lot better. They didn't need, it's only a found footage film because the original was. This guy wanted to make a straight horror movie with jump scares galore and turned it into a found footage film because that's what the original film was. And this was just, no, Jennifer Carpenter's alright in the first half, and then she becomes a screaming banshee by the end. And it's just, we're shown at the beginning that this character is a strong female character. Like, she stands up to these men who basically just want to fuck her. And, because, one of the dudes forgets that he has a microphone on, apparently, and says, oh, I bet you by the end of the night I can bang her. And she's like, I'll take that bet. Like, she stands up to them. And then by the end of the movie, she's screaming. Like the typical female character in a movie. She's supposed to be the final girl. And she shows that she has what it takes at the beginning of the film, and by the end of the film, she's reduced to another screaming female character. That's not how you do it. It's been done the opposite way, where she's a screaming female character and becomes a final girl at the end. Friday the 13th does that, But it's backwards here. And, like I say, Columbus Short's character, would you quit sending me messages? I keep getting text messages from somebody. He keeps trying to do a video. People keep texting me and calling me, and I deal with it afterwards. I'm almost done. I gave it a 5 out of 10. Pardon me. I just think that they could have done a lot better instead of using a lot of cheap jump scares that really just pissed me off every time I saw them. Stop! Because a jump scare was coming. No. It's 5 out of 10. What are your thoughts on Quarantine? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.